meeting of the Board of Education. So one on Monday, May 9th at 11:30. I have a roll call, please. Audrey Anderson. Here. Justin Anderson. Kevin Smith.
Here.
Kate Schaefer. Here. Maria Esposito. Here. Andrew Mayer.
Here.
Aaron Walton Smith. Here. Motion to approve the minutes of the whole meeting from April 11th of 2022. Second. All in favor? Aye. So now we have the school spotlight ticket for me. Welcome to Related Irving. I'm very happy to be hosting, and I have teachers here as well that will be also helping to present. And so I can have So we're going to go ahead and start. Here at Lincoln Irving, we are the Eagles, and everything we do for behavior expectations, academic expectations goes by our building theme and building-wide expectations of SOAR, which is being safe, on task, accountable, and respectful. So building-wide, the students right away, we can always say, are you soaring today? So that it your references back to our positive behavior expectations, and then like I said, also our academics. We're focusing on the whole child. We look at our panorama data as well to see how the students are doing social emotional needs, and also be able to provide services to them. But we also, because of our academics, we wanted to highlight some of our achievement data trends from our dual language program. And for that, I'm going to call up our EL coordinator, Leslie Perkins. So when we started dual language back in 2011, 2012, we started the investigation process for moving from a transitional bilingual education program, an early exit program, more to dual language, following these three pillars of dual language education. So in dual language, we focus on bilingualism and biliteracy, grade level academic achievement, and cross-cultural competence. We want to make sure to value all the pieces that come with multiculturalism in particular. All right, and so this was the research that we based our next steps on. This is a widely known piece of research called the Thomas and Collier study. It was a 30+ year study with over 700,000 participants. And what they did is they studied all of the different models of working with multilingual learners. So you can see there are lots of different models, from no services to the top tier model, which is the two-way dual language. So we're going to focus, we're going to look at that two-way dual language. This is what we have here at Lincoln Irving School. And we're going to look at the content-based ESL, which is the model that we follow in almost all of our other ESL programming around the district. So that would be where maybe it would be a pull-out program. Maybe the classroom teacher has an ESL certification and is providing some English services. So if you look at that study, the two-way dual language, they look about the same. At the beginning, it takes about between 5 and 7 years to learn a language. And so we can see at that 5 to 7 year mark, like at grade 5, we're starting to see a separation between dual language and content-based ESL. By secondary level, that dual language is starting to take off, and the content-based ESL is kind of flatlining. So excitingly enough, we have looked at our research, we have looked at our own data here in the district, and we're seeing that we're following that national trend. So there's the two-way dual language, there's the content-based ESL. So let's take a look at Moline data. When we compared our dual language reading scores from K through 8, we compared them to all of our traditional ESL students in the entire district. So Lincoln Irving compared to every other school, K through 8, with just a traditional ESL model. And you can see that the dual language trend line is upward like the research said would happen. While our ESL, traditional ESL is kind of flatlining, you can see here. And then here is our average dual language score for reading and our average ESL learner score for reading. When we just concentrate between K to 5, remember by that 5th grade, you're just going to start to see that the dual language students separating. We can see that happening here. Here's K5, so basically just Lincoln Irving compared to every other school with their ESL, traditional ESL model. And again, now we wanted to look at dual language versus the general population. So all of our schools, not necessarily ESL, are all of our kids across the district. So you can see that K through 8, our dual language kiddos are just behind general population, non-English learner children. And you can also see that we closed the gap. Let's see that. So if you can see here, we were, the gap is larger, we're closing the gap, and notice that dual language trend line versus the general population trend line. So we're really proud to show that we're following that national research that dual language is the superior model for teaching English learners. So when we look at our math trends, we are seeing the same things. Our dual language kids far outperform all of our other ESL learners in a traditional ESL model with that trend line moving upward. When we look at K through 5, we see that our dual language learners compared to traditional ESL are starting to pull away with an upward trend line as well. And when compared to our general population, non-English learners, the entire population, our dual language have closed the gap and have an upward trend line here versus the general population with a downward trend line. So we're really excited to see that we're really following that research.
And this year, we have really been focusing on our data, and teachers have been digging into their not just building-wide but also classroom data for math. And so each teacher has a data folder which they hold all of their classroom information. So I'm going to just pass this to the board for you to view, and it'll also have some goal-setting pages in here that we've been working on through our SIP days. It's just a place to organize our information and to moving forward so that we can see the growth in our students. So just to share that data binder with you. So this just doesn't happen automatically. We always see the research, the studies, and then the data, but then what happens behind the scenes? And that's where all the work that teachers do that are here and outside that we're not able to come, that's where they come into place. They come in and do a lot with our students. So I'm going to take you through a little bit in review at Lincoln Irving of what's happening. ST Math and GG. ST Math, it was a fun day with GG coming to visit Lincoln Irving, but it wasn't just a fun day that they could have GG here. The students have been in a friendly competition throughout the school year to see how many puzzles, which class completed the most puzzles, who had the most percent completion. So the classroom right over here, they're holding up their certificates and earned a top 5 position. So every week in our video morning announcements, I present to them the top 5 classrooms of puzzles completed. And it's always a big hurrah for the classes that made it to the top 5 because it's hard. Some of those puzzles get pretty hard. And now we have some students that have been moving out of their grade level and are passing on to the grade level above. And this is kindergartners coming up to me and telling me, I passed 3 puzzles today, or I passed so many puzzles. They're getting that foundational piece of what it is that goal setting. So this is something that is school-wide. So again, Gigi was very well welcomed, but it just tied it all in for us to celebrate their success throughout the year. And then in first grade, we also have seen a lot of success with the differentiation that the teachers have been providing, and that is through flexible guided reading groups. Our teachers get to know the students, not just the social emotional piece, but academically, where are they? And the saw a need that phonemic awareness was something that we needed to boost. And so that's where our coach came into play, looking at phonemic awareness and some new materials that we are using this year called El Camino al Éxito, the pathway to success. And then it was used as an intervention, or is being used as an intervention, but all of our first grade students are involved or were able to take part in this, and the teachers collaboratively working with the coach were able to group students in their groups, and also our parent mentors have played a big role in moving the students from one level to the next, which I'm going to let Ms. Diabian go ahead and explain the next slides.
So as Ruthie mentioned, we were just really excited about all the trends that we're seeing in our data. Our first and second grade teachers were able to have the opportunity to implement Camino al Éxito. This is a research-based early literacy program that follows the sequential learning of Spanish. So it involves that phonemic awareness, where we saw a lot of somewhat gaps in phonics, fluency, and writing skills. Our first grade team of teachers began using this program to provide consistent daily instruction in Spanish and to really be able to differentiate the instruction of each student and their needs. Our parent mentors and myself, as Rosie mentioned, worked very closely in being able to have flexible groups, which does involve a lot of, those observations and checking in where our students are at. Utilizing all of this, our results have been amazing. So what this chart shows is, the first grade literacy groupings that we did. We started in November. Our first grade teachers also were able to help train our parent mentors. We utilized some of our support staff as well. A lot of people just really involved with this first grade level team and students. At the beginning of the year, out of 45 students, only 15% of those, so 7 out of 45, were proficient, meaning they were reading at grade level expectations for where they should be at that point in the year. Since we've now taken we've done a check-in again to be able to use that to flex our groups. And then in March, we've really seen those numbers just kind of flop and just, we have so many more kids that are excited. We are having them develop more Spanish literacy as well. Because first grade has been so successful, by the time we did our December check-in and we're able to purchase another following kit, it's called El Próximo Paso, which is the next step to success. So first grade teachers really, they worked and they collaborated with second grade teachers too about what worked for them. And it was a really great experience. And again, we saw the same success. We went from having 8 out of our 38 students in second grade reading, being able to test out of the program, being able to have those decoding skills, those early literacy skills that they did not have at the beginning of the year. And it's another piece of info and data that we're really excited about.
And I want to point out that all of this instruction obviously is in Spanish. The math testing and the data that Leslie shared is testing that is done in English. So we're seeing students transferring those skills that they're learning in Spanish, even at this younger age, into English, so that we don't have extra time in the day. We have the same hours of time, so we need that transfer of language, and that happens through strategic planning. Very purposeful planning by the teachers with the Spanish oracy as well as the English oracy, but here you can see our second grade students using sentence frames to participate in morning messages. And also when you get a chance, there's some anchor charts on the wall from a third grade example of a lot of oracy building and transferring of the Spanish academic language into the English academic. So that's what the teachers will be using throughout the grade levels, is the bridging, where they're focusing on those essential skills and then making that connection to either English or Spanish, depending on what the target language is. So a lot of differentiation, strategic planning, and collaborative grouping, which we are very happy to have back again this year. And also field trips. We loved that our students were able to take field trips. You can see their faces. This was our kindergarten group. And so this was their first field trip. They went to the Moline Public Library. They did amazing. They were able to get on the bus and go to the field trip. And then one of our second grade students was able to win the book or from the author. So that was also exciting time. Another highlight for the year is our third grade. Both teachers received the Destination Growth Award for math. And one of the classrooms also received it for reading. That means that over 75% of their class met their growth goal in the winter time. So again, I'm anxious to get into the final benchmark for math testing to see where did our students, how much growth did they make from the fall to winter, but also winter to spring now. Our students are still working hard. So I keep reminding them again in that morning message, you have to soar, make sure that you stay on task, focused, accountable to your math testing. So again, tying it all back to soaring. And then our third grade was also able to experience their first field trip to the Moline Water Plant. So a lot of collaboration with the city of Moline. And they were also, one of our students was also chosen as the first place winner for the Moline Water Art Contest. So that was exciting. Our teacher does an amazing job with those outreach programs. She also had students participate in the Butterworth Art Center contest not too long ago. And just being hands-on, again, focusing on the whole child. They're able to work with 3D art projects using clay and paper mache. And our music teacher has just recently been awarded a quantity arts grant where she'll be purchasing more instruments so that she can also do some after-school activities for next year. You can just see the smiles on their faces through the mask earlier in the year. And so our fourth grade, if we start moving up to fourth grade is a two-teacher model. And so what that means is there's one teacher that's focused on the Spanish and another teacher that is focused on the English, but they also collaborate, a lot of collaborative groups. And here they were making also paper maches to go with their reading and science students. So they're doing a lot of integration of content. So that is what is also best for ELs, that it's not in isolation and just bringing in their resources. And there's also an example of a chart that the students made. I do have a video up just for sake of time. I'll have that so you guys can view, but the students are using their skills that they learned in the past 2 years with Flipgrid or Screencastify to present to their classmates now as well. We can't forget fifth grade. We are doing the same grade level standards as the rest of the district because we want that grade level academic achievement. So using our system-wide guidance, mystery science was new this year, so our teachers chose their units that they were going to be working on and just making those engaging lessons for them. And some of these lessons may be in English or maybe in Spanish, depending on that particular unit, but we are very thankful that that was available to us as well to have it both in both languages to support our program. And I know this is a little bit harder, but this writing is in Spanish. So you can see this is a Spanish writing, and then on the back on the wall there is an English writing. Fifth grade also does a 50-50. So our students are stepping up to the challenge of learning the two languages. Here it's doing an opinion writing of why electronics is a bad thing. Too much electronics is a bad thing. I don't know if you really agree with that, but that's what people wrote their opinion paper on. So it's very neat to see, again, the research and practice where the students are using both of their languages that they've been acquiring throughout the years. And we can't forget our parent mentor program. This year, we've had 11 parents putting in over 300 hours in our school. And we can't thank them enough because they are doing small groups with pretty much any classroom that they're working with. We have 3 of those parent mentors are now being recruited or to work at Head Start to get their paraprofessional license. And so that is what is the parent mentor program is all about, is growing our own and making sure that this is something that they have seen. I want to do what the teachers are doing. So that speaks volumes to what they see the teachers doing in the classroom, because that's what they're telling me, like, I want to get my para license so that I can get my teacher license, because I want to be there and do the same things that the teachers are doing here in the classroom. And we also have fun. April 30th is Dia del Niño, or Children's Day in Mexico. So bringing in some traditions from Mexico, our parent mentors organized Dia del Niño celebration. And so they just had a fun time with the kids that day, and they also brought in a magician who tied in our SCORE theme for the building white. It was pretty cool. He was able to light up a little paper that was like a marshmallow, and it turned into, or opened it up, and it was SCORE. So the kids thought it was amazing that, again, just tying everything that they've always heard, that yes, it's academics, yes, it's behavior, but you can also have fun. We're just tying it all into soaring, that our Lincoln Everything soaring. And I am just going to show you a little piece of a clip of our student council that boot camp that they did, again, using their technology skills that they've acquired. They made our building wide expectations for our winter boot camp. And this saved us time because we couldn't go outside to the playground. So they got their Chromebooks and were making their own little videos of the different areas in the school. And we were able to present that at a school-wide assembly. So, show you the road. This is their map celebration for students that made their growth as well. We also celebrated 100th Day with 100th Day parade. And the kids were telling me Espanol throughout the day, and we also highlighted our preschool. There are first, the first emerging bilingual students here. Are there any questions? Hope I gave you a glimpse of our year. So, recruit. It's, hey, this is a parent program that we have here, and it's just a lot of one-on-one conversations. And then once I have a couple, then they start including others, and then they so their personal connection. Yes, we did. Yes, we did. And I can say that in one classroom, we're already ready for first grade. There's 21 students out of 22 that have met their goals. So we still have fun. Any other questions? Thank you.
So good evening, everyone. Thank you again to Portillo and the teachers and staff at Lincoln Irving. That was an amazing snapshot. And clearly you all have been working so hard. It's great to see the progress. So thank you for that highlight. We are now at this time of the year where we are closing out our goals. I don't know how it happened that we're at this point, but here we are. So we had 8 goals this year for our PACE strategy, our people, achievement, community, and environment. And when we had a chance to sit down and analyze the degree to which each of these goals was attained, we applied the very user-friendly elementary model of red light, yellow light, green light. We just feel like we want to keep this process user-friendly so that everyone can understand, and it just really sends a clear message to have the color coding in that regard. So our 8 goals that we had this year, we had 2 for people, 2 for achievement, 2 for community, and 2 for environment. And they yielded, after our very lively conversation, 3 yellows and 5 greens and 0 reds. So that is great news. We were able to make progress on all of our strategic goals for this school year. And a good number of them, we were able to accomplish them exactly as they were written. We know that a lot of this work is ongoing, especially in the last 2 years where we have been really thrust into becoming managers over instructional leaders as we're driving all of the requirements for the pandemic. I'm really proud of our principals, our teachers, our staff, our administrators, our parents, everybody that helped us move the needle on these goals while we were juggling so many other things associated with the pandemic. So I'm really proud of what we've been able to accomplish given the challenges that have been ours to manage this year. So without further ado, I just thought that I would go through each goal. As you can see for our 2 goals for people, I hope you can see that okay. Our first goal centers around this idea of recruitment as we continue to strive to be cast a wider net for the positions that we have for our schools, whether they be certified positions, classified positions. We want to be able to cast a wider net, and ideally, we want to increase the diversity of our staff. So this is a long-term goal for us. This is never going to be something that we're just finished with, but each year we really widen our strategies. So again, this work is rated as yellow, as it will continue to be ongoing. We changed the process for posting positions and really added to the places where we post in order to cast a wider net, especially including Indeed. That's been a great addition for us this year. We've had great success with the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce in using their contacts and marketing to broadcast our vacancies. We've had multiple attempts to engage with NAACP. We joined the Rock Island County chapter and reached out a number of times to enlist the steps that we need to be able to communicate our vacant positions so that they can have those posted. And we haven't heard back yet, so we're still working through those communication barriers. We also reached out to the NAACP chapter in Davenport, thinking that maybe we would have an in that way as I was working with a few community members, and still haven't had any luck. So that's going to be definitely a piece of that we're going to continue on in our development for the fall. We have 2 administrators connected to LULAC. I believe both Ms. Portillo and Ms. Perkins that are here tonight are involved in that organization, and will continue to help to build those connections with our district. As Rosie's example that she gave, just those personal touches and those personal conversations about the opportunities that we have in our district have made all the difference. And also the coordination with the career centers of the regional historically Black colleges and universities was on hold this year due to COVID. So that will be something that we will further develop in the fall. And we focused on the 3 HBCUs that are in our region: Chicago State, Lincoln University, which is in Jefferson City, Missouri, and Harris Stowe State University in the St. Louis area. So we felt like focusing in our region of the country was a great place to start. And because those pieces were on hold, that will carry on to the fall. Our second people goal centered around professional development. This work is rated as yellow and will continue to be ongoing. And we want to see This year was largely focused on sustaining operations and addressing heightened academic and social emotional needs. Thank you, of students. A more intensive focused PD will be further developed next year. We've collected a lot of student feedback. We really tapped into student voice this year to find out from their perspective what they would like to see us work on and in which areas we can improve.
And those pieces will definitely help guide the professional development plans that we have for staff moving forward in the fall. And we've done a lot more surveying this year as well, so that we can better connect with the needs of our teachers and staff. So I know that they've been asked not only what are their areas of need that they would like to continue to grow, but the manner in which we should deliver the professional development is also something that we've been able to get their input on. So whether it comes to our institute days, which are at the beginning of the year and in January, we have those half-day school improvement days, or SIP days as we call them, and also our Wednesday early release days. And then lastly, what is the story that our data is telling us? Rosie spoke a lot about the data at Lincoln Urban and how they've been able to move the needle in math and in ELA, and how they're also focusing on character development with their SOAR analogy. So we also want to look at what is the data telling us and find those areas where we're coming up short, and those will be great areas to target professional development for the fall. So those areas will continue to be ongoing. For achievement, we had 2 goals. And again, just to be clear, just because the goal is highlighted on our poster doesn't mean these are the only things that we work on. These are specific areas of focus that we wanted to dedicate additional time. And once they come off the poster, that doesn't mean that they're gone and we're not paying attention. I would say it means the opposite. They become a part of our standard operating procedure. So moving into achievement, our first goal centered around student achievement data, in particular our gifted students. This work is rated as green and was actually achieved as written. A nonverbal gifted assessment called the NAGLIERI, or the NNAT3, as you may have heard it referred to, was piloted last year with students in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade across the entire district as our first go-around pilot to get our teachers used to it and to get our students used to it. And this year now we've settled into our tradition of focusing on our 3rd grade students only, and that will be our plan moving forward. From there, those that scored from the 95th percentile on up received talent development through targeted enrichments during Core Plus More time, and also was impacted by their cluster grouping cohorts. The goal is to provide cognitively complex learning, accelerated learning, and feedback on authentic tasks. So these are things that we're starting to get better at, and I'm excited for the future of these types of enrichment programs for our most accelerated and gifted students. We focused on MAP data and IR data as well, and other assessment data to really triangulate which students were showing potential above their grade level expectation. We have, as you may have heard earlier, a significant increase in our EL students, over 130 new ELs this year. So the new student intake center has been hopping this year. Ms. Jackie Zamora has done a great job welcoming all of our families that have entered after the first day of school. So that really exemplifies the reason to focus on an assessment that's nonverbal. Our students are coming in with different language skills, they're coming in with different vocabulary skills, and this assessment finds a way to highlight a student's potential without those barriers that have traditionally hidden a child's potential. So we're excited to get better at that process. We've instituted advanced learning plans this year. They were created for students in the 90th to 100th percentile. And I believe we actually had a board presentation on that with some students and parents. So again, just these structures that we're getting better at, and structures that will improve achievement for kids and allow our students to go even further with the enrichments that we are able to better provide them. And lastly, regarding professional learning, we have a cohort of teachers representative of almost every elementary school that will continue their professional growth. We have a partnership with St. Francis University, and those teachers are taking coursework to improve their instructional strategy and instructional technique to better instruct students that are performing above grade level. So we're excited as they continue to navigate their coursework, and they will become our sort of train the trainer model. And ideally, although we're still trying to piecemeal how it's going to happen, to get these teachers that additional gifted endorsement on the teacher license is going to be our long-term end goal. Our other goal for achievement centered around work-based learning. This work is rated as green and was achieved exactly as written. A new pathway was formalized in the area of computer science and cybersecurity. Welding has been formally approved for a Department of Labor apprenticeship. We're excited about that. We've got a number of smaller scale pathways that we're working on as well, from art, so tapping into the fine arts talents of our students. Certainly we know about the Public Works internship with the city of Moline, again, to highlight the great partnership that we have. We're excited that that first group of students is moving into phase 2 of that. And then we also have a new pathway that's just in its absolute infancy, and that's aviation business management, partnering with our airport right here, Quad City International Airport, Elliott Aviation, and Blackhawk College. We had a number of interested community stakeholders come together. So that's exciting. And, you know, it's just great to see what happens when everybody comes together. The development and expansion of the software program called Zello has allowed for a more formalized process to capture students' interest, to capture their achievements, such as our college and career readiness standards say, you know, we want to capture our students that have a part-time job, and capture our students that have maybe taken the ASVAB for potential military future. So a number of those pieces kids can capture in Zello as well. And Dr. DeBain and his department have done a great job engaging parents. We've had a huge number of parents log into those Zello accounts as well. So beginning to work together to help kids find their strengths and find their path, if you will. That's been a great tool. And lastly, we've onboarded our work-based intermediary. Her name is Teresa Todd. She's fantastic. And she's really working with the Iowa side intermediary just to kind of learn the tricks of the trade. And then working together has really been exciting. So the department has done a great job, and we're excited to continue on in this work. So for community, we have 2 goals, both of which were rated green. The first one is parent mentors. Rosie gave a great example of our parent mentor program. And we have a number of schools. We have Logan, Butterworth, Lincoln, Irving, Washington. I believe we onboarded Roosevelt last year, and we're getting ready to bring Franklin on board. So this program is working in our community. And as she said, it's just a great way to work together and engage our parents as partners. And then in order to find what can we do differently to maybe engage those parents that are less involved, we've got that spring parent survey that is out right now that will help us find some of those answers. We'll analyze that data over the summer and hopefully kind of change up how we do some parent engagement things to better meet families' needs. The other community goal is engaging businesses in the community. I would like to say that this goal was also rated as green. I believe we achieved this goal, but we didn't do it at all like we had initially thought. So I would say we took an alternative path, but we still got a great result. This work, as mentioned before, we engage in a number of regional partners. So a lot of people are in this space of work-based readiness, the United Way, the Chamber of Commerce, our community colleges, these intermediaries that are working. All of the school districts are working on these goals as well. So we're starting to figure out, hey, we should all come together instead of each school district trying to do their own thing and each business getting tapped in by every other district. So we're starting to come together. Through that work, a regional calendar of work-based learning opportunities was created. I believe I showed that in my report, so you can get a glimpse of that. And currently, this larger connection of agencies, districts, and businesses are in the development stages of how to come together under one umbrella to maximize involvement, to increase student experiences, and to maximize our resources. So this work is green because we achieved what we set out to do, but we're really just at the beginning stages of those community partnerships, and I'm anxious to see how that all comes about. Last 2 for environment, 2 goals. One was rated green and the other yellow. The first environment goal centered around panorama. Rosie shared a little bit of our panorama data, or you kind of tapped into that a little bit. This is our new universal social emotional screener for students. And we are now implementing that 3 times a year, piggybacking right onto math, fall, winter, and spring. And we are only beginning to understand the power of that data. So we're only beginning to dig down and dive deep and figure out exactly what we need to do so kids can feel like they're having a better experience, like they're safe, and like they feel that they belong. So the assessment was administered. Principals are getting good at learning how to analyze the data with their staff, and we're working on formalizing that process. Thank God we made the decision, the Board of Education was able to approve those hiring of additional counselors a few years back. Now with those hands on deck at every school, they're able to push in and provide a strategic, actual direct instruction of strategies for social emotional needs that kids have, rather than just trying to use the Band-Aid method and catch kids. They're able to connect with every kid. And for 6 through 12, the biggest win is we have this time built into our calendar now. So we have time built in at the middle school and the high school, and now we just need to focus on getting those lessons up to par to where kids feel like their needs are being met. And the last one has to do with Aspire. And this work is yellow because it is ongoing, but we have administered the panorama assessment, and we're working on finalizing the rubrics for students that would participate in the Aspire program. The Sanders has really led that charge and done a fantastic job. And ultimately, the goal is not just to augment the physical space of kids attending Coolidge, but to augment their program and the resources that they have available to them. So that is really our goal closeout. I would just reiterate that I'm glad that there are no reds and that we were able to move the needle on the areas that we focused on this year. Does anybody have any questions? Everybody's either just bedazzled or bored. Yes.
So the SL was having the middle school, high school level. We have feedback from, student peers and stuff like that, like, how are we, we have time and space for it, but we know that not all the teachers are probably as proficient in administering or facilitating those conversations more. Never probably. So I guess, what are we doing to make sure that time is being used effectively and that important to that team?
And that is a valid point. We did hear that from students and really from teachers as well. I can start off by saying at the middle school level, I believe just at the last meeting, we formalized a particular curriculum. So that will formalize that process at the middle school level. And I believe at the high school, they're still working on that, trying to figure out, okay, we've got the time. We know that that's what's happening during this time. Now we really need to get teacher input on how best to move forward with those lessons at the high school. Whether it continues to be teacher developed or counselor developed, or whether it is an actual curriculum that we will purchase at the high school level. I think those things are ongoing, and that makes that piece of it definitely yellow. But we're over that first hurdle of getting the time built in. But we acknowledge that we've got to do more to help our teachers feel comfortable, and that might have something to do with the lessons and curriculum that they're using. But we're going to focus on them. Fabric away.
Audrey Adamson here, Justin Anderson, Dennis Smith,
Here.
Nate Schaefer, here, Maria Escudero, here,
Here.
Aaron Walton Smith, here.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey,
Yes, I have another bid opening where we only got one bid. So I would like to open this, and you've seen a memo already. Attach a number 7 on the regular agenda that is for the Deer Auditorium wiring. We've been trying to get to this for 4 years. So I am gonna open this, and if everything seems in line with what I know the bid should be, I will come back with a number for you guys. That's it for now.
okay. All right, before we go on to the consent agenda, I just want to go over a couple things. We are pulling A to vote on separately due to a conflict with Audrey. We are pulling B to amend that make it totally due to the salary reclassification from DA to NA plus 30, but it should state salary reclassification from DA to NA. We're also pulling E to amend Bauer, and she will not be voted. The recommended motion is that the Board of Education contain consent agenda C and add through R as presented. Any discussion? Roll call.
Chet Smith.
Aye.
Kate Schaefer. Maria Esposito. Andrew Weider.
Aye.
Audrey Edmondson. Aaron Walden Smith.
The recommended motion is for the teacher to approve the item. Agenda item A as presented. Can I have a motion, please? Roll call, please.
Kate Schaefer. Maria Esposito. Andrew Weider.
Aye.
Audrey Edmondson. Chet Smith. Aaron Walden Smith.
The recommended motion is that the Board of Education approve the action contained in agenda item B as presented. Can I have a motion? Question? Can I roll call, please?
Maria Esposito. Andrew Weider.
Aye.
Audrey Edmondson. Kate Schaefer. Chet Smith.
Aye.
Aaron Walden Smith.
The recommended motion is that the Board of Education approve the action contained in agenda item B as presented. Can I have a motion, please? Roll call, please.
Andrew Weider.
Aye.
Audrey Edmondson. Chet Smith.
Aye.
Kate Schaefer. Maria Esposito. Aaron Walden Smith.
Okay, number 6 is the approval of memorandum of understanding. The recommended motion is the Board of Education. The memorandum of understanding to the Ryan County number 49 and Moline High School of the Moline School District number 40 for the Life on the Way program. Do I have a motion?
So.
Discussion? Hearing none, then roll call please.
Audrey Edmondson. Chet Smith.
Aye.
Kate Schaefer. Maria Esposito. Andrew Weider.
Aye.
Aaron Walden Smith.
B, the recommended motion is the Board of Education approve the memorandum of understanding to the Rockland County Regional Office of Education in the Moline School District number 4 the Life on the Way program. Do I have a motion, please? Discussion? Hearing none, roll call please.
Chet Smith.
Aye.
Kate Schaefer. Maria Esposito. Andrew Weider. Audrey Edmondson. Aaron Walden Smith.
Recommended motion is that the Board of Education approve the understanding of the Rockland County Regional Office of Education with the local middle school, the Moline School District number 40 to the Life on the Learning program. May I have a motion, please? Discussion? Hearing none, roll call please.
Kate Schaefer. Maria Esposito. Andrew Weider. Audrey Edmondson. Chet Smith. Aaron Walden Smith.
Recommended motion is the Board of Education Esteros. Nathan Ware.
Aye.
Audrey Adamson. Kevin Smith.
Aye.
Katie Seifert. Aaron Walden Smith.
Work bid, please.
Okay, I opened the bid. It was within the scope of what the estimate was, a little under $500,000 for the electrical upgrades at the auditorium. So what I'm gonna do is ask you guys to approve this, and then Shai is the architect on that. Since they know a lot more than I do about this stuff, they will double check my work to make sure it's a qualified bid. And so I'm asking you for the authority to go ahead and give me the approval to move forward. Obviously, if they come back and we have issues, I will not move forward. But that's in hopes of getting work done this summer.
Does that mean that the recommended motion for the award bid, or that the award bid, not doing what the board? Environment to Rock River Electric Incorporated, $450,000. Do I have a motion, please? Roll call, please.
Andrew Meyer.
Aye.
Audrey Adamson. Kevin Smith. Katie Seifert. Maria Esteros. Aaron Walden Smith.
Emergency award of debt, the recommended motion of the Board of Education award emergency replacement of the failed HVAC at Wilson Middle School to Illinois, to the amount of $448,000.
Yeah. That is the middle school construction was done in 2009, 2010. So probably did not get the life that we needed out of it, but still 13 years. I don't want to ask Jeff because he's still going, but I would say in my estimation, we didn't get the life expectancy after that. But it wasn't severely under the life expectancy, but it is what it is.
Kevin Smith. Katie Seifert. Maria Esteros. Aaron Walden Smith.
We launched our spring parent survey on May 3rd to seek parent input regarding future goal setting, prioritizing, and planning, as well as to ensure the district's mission and vision accurately meets the needs of our stakeholders. So far, we have about 270 responses with both the English language and the Spanish language version. The survey will close Friday, May 20th, and I will probably send out a reminder this week and next week to try to encourage parents to give us that feedback. Retirement celebration. This Wednesday, we will host our in-person retirement celebration. I'm a little excited. It's my first one at 23 years. We will recognize 3 years worth of retirees at City View. For this year, we have 22 staff retirees, totaling 575 years of service. Last year's class of retirees, the 2020-2021, we had 36 staff that retired for a total of 841 years of service. And in 19 and 20, there were 25 staff. So those 2 previous years were not able to have an in-person celebration. That 2019-2020 group had 580 years. So altogether, coming in at just under 2,000 years of service to the city of Holden. So that's pretty exciting, and we're really proud to honor these folks. They've all been invited, all 3 years worth have been invited, and we're just excited to be able to present them with the recognition that they so deserve. The last 3 weeks of school, as it is the last 3 weeks, there's a lot of activities and special recognition going on, as many of you know. As a reminder, next Tuesday, the 17th, is convocation at Moline High School. Our senior award ceremony begins at 7 in the Bartlett Performing Arts Center. Graduation commencement, Sunday, May 29th, is the Sunday Memorial Weekend at Tax Slayer, beginning at 7 p.m. And I believe, you had a notification also that, Thursday, June 2nd, our division of the Illinois Association of School Boards, Blackhawk Division, will have their next dinner and business meeting. It will be hosted in Geneseo on that June 2nd. I'm registered and will attend, so if anybody wishes to also attend, just let Stephanie know, and we will gladly get you registered. And lastly, regarding the scheduling of our special work session for the board to provide input on our new goals for next year, I took a screenshot of our doodle poll, so I just wanted to get your feedback on when would be best to do that. I think we don't need a long time. I think we can get it done in an hour, and I will bring to that meeting kind of a culmination of our survey data and some of the achievement data that we've been focusing on to kind of help with that process. So any feedback on when you would like to schedule that?
Things you say, very first, more than that.
And Google highlighted the 14th. Okay, it's just, I remember the X's, but I'm good with any.
I mean, I'm the only one that can be here, so.
You can send that to me. And
Yeah. it's gonna be that, yeah. So everyone's very correct. Yeah. All right, make it so.
And lastly, we had some pretty exciting student events take place. The Moline High School bass fishing team is going to state again. This is very exciting. We actually have 3 students who will compete on May 19th and 22nd by Carlisle. Our baseball team won the Western Big Six title this past weekend. And the Moline High School Special Olympics team, as well as the Roosevelt Special Olympics team, competed this past weekend in Monmouth, Region 7, and they had an impressive medal count. So collectively, they brought home 11 golds, 7 silvers, and 1 bronze. So we're very excited of all of our kids out showing off their achievements and their skills this spring. It's just such a great opportunity to celebrate all of our students. I know she likes to recognize those members that are present.
I'll tell her.
Yeah, any discussion, questions? To consider the possible sale, lease, or purchase of property by a public body. This one, following the dismissal of move to return to open session. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Anyone opposed?
Aye.